3, 2, 1. Is we live? Is we live, y'all? Is we live? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Fabulites. This is Angela with another edition of Notes on the News, where I share with you headlines from my news feed and also share with you some of my perspective, perhaps, on the headline, on the story, the subject matter at large, me skimming the story, or whatever happens to come up in my head or the conversation that we may be having on this here live. But it's not news. It's just my notes on the news. I'm Angela, and the channel is Be Fabulous You. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, and sharing. All of those things that are helping us to get step by step, person by person to our goal of 1,000 charter subscribers. Hey, welcome on the chat. But I do appreciate you. So go on and like. All right. So let us proceed with the notes on the news feed. A data breach at Saks Fifth Avenue, Lord and Taylor stores could affect 5 million stolen credit and debit cards. Now, this to me just seems like, I think this is just like part of the game now. When you use your card, I just feel like know that everybody gonna get your information one way or another. That's just how they have the system set up. That's just how it's set up. So thank you for the like. So your information is just gonna be out there in the world if you use a debit or a credit card. And they do this with impunity. These big major companies and corporations, that's what they do. So I'm not surprised to hear about another data breach. Are you? Sinclair Broadcast Group dragged. I'm surprised that corporations like Deadline are using language like dragged. Hey, sis. Oh, brother Danubian. Hey, bro. Hey, I saw you last night on Iyapa Yapa's thing. I was drowsing. I was falling in and out of sleep. Welcome. Hello there on this beautiful Sunday. Oh, for those of you who celebrate Easter, happy Easter. For those of you who don't, happy day. Hello, Myosha. Ooh, I like that. Myosha. I'm probably butchering your name, but I like it anyway. Build it, fix it, do it with Jay Wade. Hey, how you doing? Good evening. Is it evening where you are? It's afternoon here. Yeah, I was in the middle of saying something, but I can't remember anyway. Myosha. Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Yeah, that's beautiful. Okay. Sinclair Broadcast Group dragged for scripted false news promos. So I guess throughout, the network, they have people saying the same thing. It kind of reminds me when I used to watch Fox News, because I was just kind of curious. It would be like, it was hypnotic to me. I think I've never been officially hypnotized, but maybe I'm suggestible, because it seemed like you would just go show in and show out, and they use the same types of language or the same language, and the same concepts came up again and again and again. It seemed like there was maybe not a script, but talking points. Good afternoon, dear Bonafide 1970. Were you born in 1970? Hey, Andres! Yay! Welcome on. Okay, so that's what, Sinclair Broadcasting is out here doing, propaganda type stuff that people say, and the people are dragging them. Rosa Parks' house to be shown over Easter weekend in Rhode Island. So we've been following these headlines at least a little bit. So we know that the house was in Detroit. It was scheduled to be, 1971. It was scheduled to be demolished, and then someone sent it to Europe or purchased it and took it to Europe as an art piece or art statement. And then in Rhode Island, a university bought it. I think Brown University bought it, and they were going to make it into a museum type thing, and then there was some drama between the cousins or the relatives that were between the cousins and the relatives who were involved with the project, and the cousins and the relatives here in Detroit who say the only house that Rosa Parks ever lived in was the house that we have our offices out of. I don't know if they said it exactly like that. Happy Easter. Oh, that's what I was going to say. Happy Easter. Happy Resurrection Sunday. Happy Resurrection Day. Happy springtime is a-coming. Happy renewal and refreshing and all of that other good stuff. So, last I heard, Brown was like, "We are out of it. We don't want any part of this drama." I don't know if that's how they said it, but they were like, "We're out of it." And then in their head, they were like, "We don't want any part of this drama." But anyway, so I don't know why it's being shown over Easter weekend. I don't know if Brown has something to do with it or not, or nah. But anyway, that's what the headline says. Shaq, as in Shaquille O'Neal, the basketball player who we found out the other day has made way more money in endorsements than he ever made as a top basketball player. Shaq has a wild story about spending $70,000 at Walmart. Wally World. The biggest purchase in company history. I think he said it was the biggest purchase in company history. He said his credit card was declined. He had just gotten a new apartment, and he went to Walmart because he needed to furnish it. Ain't that what we all do? Just go to Walmart and buy everything you need. I have no idea if I were to just be starting from scratch how much. I mean, of course, his space is probably much bigger than mine, but $70,000 to Walmart. Boo! I'm not a fan of Walmart. I feel like Walmart is one of those big corporations that comes in, and then small businesses and local businesses go away, and then, it just ruins the economy, and most of the money goes back to their corporation, and the local economy just gets stressed. I'm not a fan. I try to never shop at a Walmart. I try to always shop local, black, small, whenever I can. I hate Walmart. Well, I'm trying to be more positive these days, so I'm just trying to affirm what I love and do what I love. Okay, so that's Shaquille. Soledad O'Brien shuts down Tommy Lauren, who some people call, there was this good thing where they were calling her Tamari Sauce, and they were calling her all kinds of things except for her name, and it was very funny, but I'm not that funny, so I can't really duplicate it, but look it up. It was funny. Soledad O'Brien shuts down Tommy Lauren with masterful clapback. It seems like she had multiple clapbacks, but the young white conservative girl young woman who was interviewed by, I love your positive energy, thank you, who was interviewed by, who's the man who has the radio show? Saw that and it was good. Oh, really? Who has Charlemagne the God interviewed her? And some people say that Charlemagne was trying to he was dazzled by her white blonde beauty. He was trying to get with her, sending her flowers. He says he was just being polite. He does that with everyone. I don't know. But, so she's like a conservative commentator type. I didn't realize she was at Fox News, but apparently she's at Fox News. I think she started on social media, and she's just ignorant. She just says ignorant things. It seems like she says them specifically to inflame, but she said something to the effect to the young people who were involved with the shooting last month, who were organizing and complaining about, whatever, who are organizing around gun violence and complaining about, maybe people saying mean things or rude things or crazy things. They don't really seem like complaining type kids to me or young people to me. But she said, well, you have to have a thick skin if you want to lead a movement. I mean, I've certainly learned that people are always talking or dogging me. And one thing Soledad O'Brien is like, girl, please, you don't lead no movement, or something to that effect. Then there was something else she said. I didn't remember. But it's kind of funny because I didn't hear her say it. I just saw it written. But I could hear her saying it like I would say it. Now, I don't know how she said it, but yeah. 13 of the best places to visit if you're planning a vacation in April. We looked at this article last month, or this subject matter last month. And remember, I said there were no places on the African continent. So this month I looked again just because I was curious to see if it was a pattern. And there were two places. See, this, now that I've sent it to my news feed, it's not the same map. Oh, here it is. Victoria Falls, which is close to South Africa. Because some of the people who went on the trip with my mom to South Africa went on to Victoria Falls. And the Canary Islands, which I'm not really that familiar with, but I think that they're islands off the coast of the African continent. I think they might have been colonized by Spain or something. But we'll that's good. And I'm still looking into where I'm going to go. Somebody on the chat the other day was in Turks and Caicos, so I have to still look that up. I've been thinking more and more about Haiti. I got to go. And maybe I'll just move permanently someplace. I don't know. I don't know where I want to be. I don't know what I want to do. New details emerge in bitter split between basketball wives Jennifer Williams and Tim Norman of Sweetie Pies. Have you ever been to Jamaica? Yeah, my first husband was Jamaican, so I spent a little bit of time there off and on. I found Jamaican energy. I found Jamaica to be very intense, and I found it to be consistent with the energy of the people that I know who are Jamaican. Like my first husband was Capricorn, and his Jamaican energy feels very Capricornian to me. That's just how I experienced it. So anyway, Jennifer was with this man. Now, I don't really think that it's very nice or polite. A lot of people like to say that this man has, you know, the way that he's shaped, he has woman hips or whatever. I'm not really a fan of that because I feel like there's no accounting for attraction. And I've been there 6 times. I love it there. I love to hear that because I feel like there is some place for everybody. We're talking about Jamaica. The first time that I went to India, I was just going because I got the opportunity to go. But I hadn't been like, oh, all my life, I've always dreamed of going to India. But when I landed, literally when the plane landed, there was something in me where I just felt a certain way. I can't really explain it, but I just felt comfortable. And not to say that everybody there was nice to me because they were not. And, you know, it was a very intense experience, but it was like, I started, like, there is like this study like of space astrology and how it, like, your I just started to understand, like, I had never had that feeling about a place before. I had that feeling about people before, but never had I felt that way about a place before. So I think that there are places that resonate with us and some places don't. But, you know, I love that India is on my bucket list. I would love to bathe in the Ganges River. I didn't get in the Ganges. I was nervous then, because of, there was a lot of talk about pollution, and I was like, I'm not sure if the whole, I just stayed out. And I just saw an article the other day talking more about the pollution of the Ganges River. Now, what I didn't do when I was there, that I was like, I don't want to go to the Taj Mahal. I'm not really a touristy person. No Taj Mahal for me. And then I ran into someone who was leaving the Taj Mahal somewhere on a train, and they were like, the Taj Mahal, blah, blah, blah. And like, I was like, oh, I wish I had gone. But I mean, I did so many, but that I never felt a way about not going to the Ganges. But I don't know. I just follow how I feel. But I loved my trip. That's a place that was unexpected. Like, usually once I've gone to a place, it goes lower down on my list, but I probably, it's not at the top of my list, but it was like something about that place and me. I don't know what it was. But I could talk, I would love to do like a live stream or just talk more about, good places to go. Good places to go as Black and brown people, good places to relocate to, good places to visit. One of the things I was talking to my mother about is like when I was in India, for example, I could get at a nice hotel. Now this was more than 10 years ago, but I could get for $1 for 40 rupees, I could get like a buffet at like a fancy hotel. So just like walking up and down the street, you could like eat good brown rice. I mean, I was just shocked and amazed at how inexpensive it seemed to be in India. And when she was talking to me about the prices in South Africa, it didn't sound like just crazy. But I would like to go. I want to go. I want to like just get some feedback from people about good places to go. And, just try to process, because, you try to Google stuff and research stuff and you talk to the people. We have a friend in the Virgin Islands who's from here, the U.S. Virgin Islands, I think they're called, but he's from here. But I'd like to talk to him. We have someone who's in Oaxaca, who lives in Oaxaca. Yes. I thought it was a beautiful story, too, when I heard that. I was like, oh, my gosh. Like, that was part, and then when the person was talking about the Taj Mahal, not only like where it came from in someone's heart or where, the legend says, but just like the symmetry and the beauty, and you could just feel the vibration. I was just like, oh, I just figured, Taj Mahal sounds like a tourist spot to me. But if I went again, that would be on my list. So people are saying, a lot of people are like, well, So she's saying that this man beat her. Jennifer Williams is saying this man beat her, hit her, got physical with her. He's saying she just mad because he wouldn't give her money for her businesses, and she's lying and trying to like downgrade his name. And people are saying, I heard that the planes aren't allowed to fly over the Taj Mahal. I never heard that. But she now has a witness that's coming forth to say that he was abusive toward her. And people are like, well, of course, she was only with him for money because look at how he looks. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but she does seem to have, I don't know her, but it wouldn't, it wouldn't surprise me or fit the profile. But, her first husband was not like the most he didn't seem to be physically attractive, or he didn't seem to be, his personality, at least what we saw on the TV, he didn't really seem to have much going for him other than he was a professional basketball player. Now that could, it could be misleading. But anyway, that drama over there continues. New details emerge. Oh, this is the same story. Kellyanne Conway said to be the #1 leaker in the White House, according to Ronald Kessler's new book. I don't know who Ronald Kessler is. I guess he's writing a new book, but he said that he would be talking to her and sometimes she'd forget she was off the record and she'd just spill it all. And I just thought, oh, well, winners attract winners and high quality people attract high quality people. So it's no surprise to me that the people in Zero's White House or whatever are like zeros. ASOS, ASOS, I'm not familiar with the brand, praised for featuring a black plus-size bikini model. I wonder if she's like dark. I don't know. I didn't feel compelled to click the article, but we'll give ASOS 2 claps. We're not going to just give them an enthusiastic, yay. We give them 2 claps, I guess. Active shooter drills could reshape how a generation of students view schools. My mother kept talking about, like, as this whole Russia thing unfolded, she's like, Russia is our enemy, or, like how that was drilled into her head, and how when she was a student, they would have drills and they would go underneath the tables because they were afraid of being bombed, the nuclear bomb coming from Russia. I remember as a child, like in elementary school, writing a letter to the president asking them to please stop the nuclear war. And it was like a classroom assignment in my Catholic school. So it was like, it was a scary thing. But I remember it like the nuclear war, not so much Russia. We need more homeschooling. Yes, we do. You're absolutely right about that. And so, she talks about how, like, now seeing this whole thing with Russia, it's hard for her to get past that programming because she just thinks of, like, Russia as, like, our enemy, So anyway, they were talking about the fact that the children are being trained to run, hide. There were 3 words they used. I can't remember. Run, hide, and duck. But it was probably run, hide, and fight. I don't know. But also that they're being trained to look out for yourself first. And so I don't know. I mean, because, when you're on an airplane, they tell you, well, put your oxygen mask on first, and then you can assist other people, And so maybe is it like a bad thing for the children to be being taught to take care of themselves first? I don't know. There was one classroom or one article I read a couple weeks ago where the teacher, we talked about it here, the teacher was in a wheelchair. And so she felt like she had to tell the students, look, if something happens, y'all go on, don't worry about me. And the kids said, we already talked about it. I remember the fallout shelters. The kids said to their teacher, we already talked about it, teacher. And if something happens, we're going to help you. And so it's kind of like, are we drilling out the spirit of community and help and collective, we're all in this together. Are we drilling that out of the children by being like, run, hide, and protect yourself, and just drilling them with, this idea of like an active shooter? And then I was also thinking about the fact that, the fallout shelters were for, or the bomb drills or whatever were for an outside enemy, like Russia, and now it's like, it's the student who was in your classroom last week could be coming in to kill you, so it's like a whole different, dynamic. And, I don't know if I believe in like enemies and like, we hate those Vietnams or you Vietnamese or whatever, but I mean, I don't know. Cause I mean, part of the thing, one article I read that was talking about teachers being trained to shoot intruders. People are afraid to help. Yeah, some people are afraid to help and some people aren't. I think that like if we look at the enslavement of African folks, or, when I look, that's what I often will think about. Like, I think there was almost like a training thing of, look out for yourself. And I almost think that's what like consumerism is about and capitalism is about. Or like the reason why it's funny that I'm doing this, because years ago I stopped watching the news because I was like, it's kind of freaking me out and stressing me out. And it's causing me to like be very distrustful of everybody. Like that Andres, he's getting on my live feed. Is he trying to rape me or kill me or find out where I am? He's probably a robber or a thief or a murderer or a rapist. It was like, I just was looking at it. Was hard for me to like, I just didn't, it was like hard for me to connect with people. Like, it was just like, it was too much. Like, it just seemed so negative all the time. And I feel like that's like part of the thing. Like, everybody is out to get you, so you get yours. You go get some money and go get you, $70,000 worth of stuff from Walmart or whatever. If you get the right lamp, you're going to be happy. If you, don't, what's going to protect you? Things are going to save you. Things are going to protect you. Don't trust the people. I feel like we're trained and oriented in a certain way, in situations to like not connect with, not trust, not bond with each other, and to like bond with and trust things. So yeah. But some people, you always, and I always felt that way about the news. It should be balanced. 1/3 negative, 1/3 positive, 1/3 information neutral. Yeah. 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 I try to like process it I'm trying to practice processing information in a certain way. And, yeah. Nearly 2,000 people were stopped in 9 days under Trump's travel ban, and almost all of them were legal U.S. residents. I was talking about this with my mother today. We were watching AM Joy, but while I was watching AM Joy, I must have been doing something else because I saw an article coming off of The Atlantic about a man in England who was deported. He had an English passport. He had 2 children, 5 grandchildren. He owned a home. He had worked in England. He was deported. And she was like, well, how can he be deported with a passport? And it kind of occurred to me before. I have a passport. Somebody could be like, that's not legitimate. They kept saying that Obama's documentation wasn't legitimate. What we have today isn't even so much news, but more opinionated punditry. Punditry. That's a good word right there. I don't even know exactly what a pundit is, but I like that word. I've heard it before. But, so I feel like somebody could be like, you give them your passport and they be like, you're not an American citizen. And this whole conversation, I'm still trying to analyze and understand, why the black people, why we got to say what our point of origin is. I don't even know what that question means. Do you mean where I was born? I was born in the United States. Do you mean where my people are from? Most of my people are from Africa. Where in Africa? I don't know, because a lot of my people were brought here as enslaved people. I don't know. Like, I don't understand what you're asking me. And I'm getting annoyed just thinking about it. And I don't even have, the document in front of me. And I don't know that I'm necessarily the target of that thing. But I'm like, what, so yeah, I just feel like, this whole papers. And when we were, you may not know, the people who are on the line, but my people were in South Africa. And so yesterday we were at the Charles Howard Wright Museum of African American History here in Detroit. They were doing a presentation about, there were a lot of things going on in the museum, but that was one of the things going on. The group of 12 that had gone to, 4 of the people who had gone to South Africa were doing a presentation. And so they were showing pictures of like the papers, like they look like passports that the black people had to carry in South Africa, back in the day, and how, some of what they would do would be to like burn that in protest. Trump thinks he understands everybody and everything. He thinks he knows everything, and he's so smart. That's what he thinks. Or does he? I don't know. Because one of the things we were, I was thinking about with this whole yappa yappa, if you haven't watched the video on the headless chickens come home to roost, is this idea that like, if you really think you're so smart, I don't go. I like if you're like, I'm a classy lady. I usually think she probably doesn't think she's very classy. When people are going around being like, I'm the smartest of the smart and I know big words like punditry, they probably don't feel that smart. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. But he could, I don't even want to talk about him. We not even gonna. Zero has zero of our energy. And I love Brother Yapa. Yep. I wish, well, he hasn't been on the line yet, but that I know of, he might be lurking, but he's not one to lurk as far as I know. So anyway, they out here stopping people, harassing people, doing what they do. Lin-Manuel Miranda plans, I think that's the guy who just did Hamilton on Broadway. I still haven't seen Hamilton. Plans Broadway version of The Room, or so he claims. Now I'm like, The Room as in, he's talking about based on the movie, but there is a book that I read that the movie was based on, and I saw the movie too. But like the woman who was kidnapped and locked in a room, and then she had a couple babies, but only one survived by her kidnapper, and then they escaped. He talking about doing a play on that. Now, I haven't seen his Hamilton, but it seemed like Hamilton was like funny. And I don't know. I mean, maybe The Room would be funny or have some, I mean, I guess there's always comedy and tragedy and comedy, I guess. But I'm kind of like, that sounds, I don't know, I don't know, Mr. Lin-Manuel Miranda. Mexico, 7 police officers die in Veracruz prison riot. So rest in peace to the people who made their transition there and people who have made their transition all over the world. And we ask those to rest in power who were fighters for justice and out here about the business of helping people. May their energy continue and stimulate us and energize us. And then the other stuff, just be at peace. But they say that there was they were trying to put down another uprising, which is really interesting to me because since I read the new Jim Crow, I think of prisons like plantations now. And I never thought about them like that before. But it's sort of like, I wonder if in Mexico, I don't know anything about like throughout the world, but I do know that there are a lot of places where there are political prisoners. But I wonder, like, if the people are uprising, because are they uprising because they want their freedom and they feel like they're enslaved and they're locked up for some BS? Like a lot of people in this country, are locked up for some BS and are basically enslaved. And so, I feel like after I read that book, I'm like, dang, we should have an abolitionist movement for folks in prison here. And I never even thought of that. I always thought of folks in prison before I read that book, even though I personally knew people who had come through the system or were in the system, I always felt like, well, prisoners are bad. Just like I imagine, like back in the day, due to propaganda, you're like, well, black folks are just dumb. Black folks aren't really human. Black folks should be slaves. Prisoners should be in jail. I'm like, dang, I'm buying into the propaganda. But, it just made me wonder what was going on in Mexico and throughout the world. And like, just may justice prevail and may we have more clarity and insight about what's really going on and see through the bull and the propaganda to the truth. Steve Harvey comes to wife's defense after fans drag her for using offensive word. So she said, something, I can't cut this beat and my husband is looking at me or thinks I'm retarded. So that was the offensive word. In Venezuela, people go hungry. I still don't understand what's going on in Venezuela. Like, I was talking to somebody and they were like, oh, well, it was because they had a socialist and communist government and now they have a new person. And I'm like, so did the people was the problem before when I still don't understand. People keep linking it to me with, and then I heard somebody's name associated with Venezuela. And I'm like, now that's a progressive. That's somebody that I know is progressive. But, yeah, just, peace to people throughout the world and may, truth and justice and rightness prevail. It's hard, on the outside looking in or sometimes on the inside looking out, the new Jim Crow, but I couldn't bring myself to read through it. I wasn't sure whether I could deal with the level of anger. I thought the new Jim Crow was a really, really hard read. Like, it was not like a quick or easy read for me. But it sort of shifted how I thought about stuff. And I really want to read it again. I need to read it again. And I'm like, dang, I don't, the end up, we should all be this is a serious issue. So I don't know what to say to you to tell you to read it. But I would just encourage you, to push through, because, I don't know if you are, locked up physically, but especially if you aren't, we need to and if you are, or if you aren't, but, we need to trust that truth is a blessing, and that truth empowers us, and that truth is a good thing. Knowing the truth is a good thing. Having more clarity is a good thing. Having more insight is a blessing. There's never anything wrong with knowing more truth and understanding things more deeply, and having, perspectives that are, having broader context. The president doesn't control everything, Andres. We're not going to say that on this line. He don't, No. It may appear that way to you, but look through to the truth. So Steve Harvey's wife said, she something about retarded. So I was sort of surprised, because she referred to herself in that way, that people got upset. And I also kind of felt, I don't feel bad for her, because I don't really know her, but what I know about her, I don't really feel bad for her. But I think that it's interesting, just like with technology, sometimes it seems like it's hard. The president can't even control himself. Just like it's hard sometimes to stay up with technology, and you just want to be like, forget it. I'm just going to, I don't know. I'm not going to use, I didn't want to get a tablet. I didn't, I would just be fighting it. But I think that it's also we stay up in terms of when I was growing up, we would say Oriental. That's what I always learned to say, Oriental. And then when I went to college, people were like, it's Asian, not Oriental. And I was like, oh. And now I noticed that, I grew up and people would use the word punk, not to refer to people who were gay. But when I grew up, I always understood it you weak. That's a punk move. But now I hear a lot of people take that as offensive. And so I'm trying to break myself of that habit. Or my mother's husband. Hey, I was falling asleep on your thing last night. But my mother's husband, he was a professional dancer. And a lot of the men that he danced with were gay. And he uses the term faggot. And I'm like, you can't. But it's now he is not, he's probably 65 years old. To me, he's not so old that he shouldn't be able to stay on top of what's going on. But it just seems like you cannot get that through his head. Just like if you come across, old white people and they say, the color to Nigger and or as a woman, a lot of times people will say, oh, well, girls, I always correct men when they're like, oh, well, he's dating that girl. I'm like, what? He's dating an underage child? And they're like, no, she's not underage. I'm like, then why are you referring to her as a girl? And then they just look at me like I'm crazy. But I'm always on that mission, but most people, I feel a lot of times when, especially older men say it, they don't mean anything. They just, and can't, keep up. So I feel with her using the term retarded instead of, I don't even know what the appropriate term would be. I don't know if it would be developmentally disabled, developmentally different. I don't really know. Or when someone is when people say on the TV, they have a show called Little People Atlanta or whatever. I don't know if you would use, I don't really know. But I do know that if somebody tells me something is offensive to them, I try to not be offensive to people. You know what I mean? So, but Steve Harvey was I don't know what his clapback was, but he defended his light-skinned wife. Now his dark-skinned wife, who he just left her took all the money and he didn't defend her, but he defended his light-skinned wife. Edward Wilmot, developmentally disabled or intellectually challenged. Yeah, I don't use that word, but I feel if I use that word on me, I would feel like it's fair game. But I learned something today. You're going to learn today not to be using that term, or the people might drag you. Edward Wilmot Blyden, educator, writer, diplomat, and Liberia politician. This is someone who's made their transition. Russian bots, retarded. Russian bots are rallying behind, I'm late. No, you're not. Yeah, you could say late, developmentally disabled, intellectually challenged. One of my friends used to call me, she used to say I'm like, because I'm a picky eater, but she called me, it was some term she used. It was funny too. And that was like almost offensive. Like if she wasn't funny, I would have been mad at her, but she was funny. But she was talking about me because I'm picky. Russian bots are rallying behind embattled Fox News host Laura Ingraham as advertisers dump her show. Now, this is the one when we say she done said something about the child. You can't say nothing about them white, especially them white boy children from Parkland. They don't, you could say anything you want about a black woman, but don't say nothing about it because they, with the quickness. But anyway, she said something about the boy, maybe that he didn't get into the college of his choice, or he wasn't smart or something. And, he's clapped back at her, and they've been pulling out of her show since, and now she's supposed to be on vacation a week. Some people think using the R word is okay. Yeah, people think a lot of things are okay, but I kind of feel like I feel like for black folks, or, some people are like I went to a family reunion and people are like, I don't like the term African American because I'm not African. And I was like, and I don't mind if you say colored. That doesn't really bother me because I think colors are cute and pretty. But like different people have different, things. But like, I'm not out here trying to deliberately offend anybody or, So I feel like I've always been, or I shouldn't say always, but certainly as an adult, I've gotten the impression that is not that's a term that some people are not comfortable with at all. And so I try not to use it. And it's like, why even joke about it? Like if it's something that might offend somebody, I don't see, to me, like this whole attachment to what are these sports teams where they have like the Native American and they, all of that foolishness. Like, I feel like, what is the attachment to that? If some people are like, oh, I'm Native, greetings, Ron B. I'm Native and I don't find it offensive. Welcome. This is your first time on the chat. I met you on our Yappa's chat yesterday. Brother Yappa. Thank you. If some Native folks are like, oh, I don't find it offensive, and some people do, then why are we so attached to it that we're like, no, I have to hold on to that BS? I mean, just move on. Russian bots are rallying behind embattled Fox News host Laura Ingraham as advertisers dump her show. So now there's like a lot more Redskins. That's the name of the teams. But there are, I think that I was reading somebody's article who was talking about them. Anyway, I can't even remember. It was like an essay, but it was a really interesting essay at the time that I read it, but now I can't even remember what it was about. But now we have there's sort of like more information to know when bots are active. So there have been a lot more retweets on Twitter, and we have our Twitter expert on the line now, Brother Ayapo, can probably tell us all about it. But there are a lot more retweets on Twitter, and the frequency and the system and everything that's going on. People are like, these are obviously Russian bots that are retweeting, these three terms, like Laura Ingraham, the little boy from Parkland's name, and something else, so they're trying to big up and support Laura Ingraham, who's on vacation from her show. Maybe she won't come back. I don't know. I didn't deserve to be shot. Black motorist nearly killed by volunteer cop speaks out. So we talked about this a couple weeks ago. This was supposed to be this highly trained volunteer who had 85 hours. And he surely was highly trained because he did exactly what the real cops do. The guy wouldn't get out the car and he shot him. I think he shot at him 8 times. And the man survived, and he says he didn't deserve to be shot. Which goes without saying to some of us, right? Do we need to, I'm glad he's alive to say it, but yeah, no, bro, you didn't deserve to be shot. Yeah. A data breach. Oh, we talked about that, Saks Fifth Avenue. Saturday Night 16 Club. Have you heard of the Saturday Night 16 Club? Affluent, professional black women enjoying the finer things. This is coming off of Black Then. It's something from Black in the Day. A lot of these women were teachers. I guess that was like, the affluent professional pursuit at the time. A lot of women who were teachers were like, woohoo. And a lot of them were married to doctors and lawyers. So they got together in this group and they would do things like, I don't know, wear fur coats and drive fancy cars. And I don't know, was it 16 of them who would get together on Saturday night? Anyway, I just thought that was the whole concept and title was interesting to me. Are you involved with any social clubs? Like a lot of social clubs, like when I was like around New Orleans, some of the people in Hattiesburg were involved, not enough hours of training. I mean, he shot the man. You mean in order to kill him? Is that what you mean? The volunteer needed more, because usually that's about what they do. They shoot about 80 times and then, I didn't hear about that. Thank goodness he survived. I hope that he sues the living daylights out of the city. Yeah. Are you involved with any social clubs? When I was in Hattiesburg, like one of my husband's cousins was involved with the social club in New Orleans, and they did like a parade and everything. My mother was asking me today, the Zulus, because the Black Indians who do a parade, a Mardi Gras parade, they had come up and done some cultural work at a Black festival in Hattiesburg. So I got to meet them and vibe with them, and it was really interesting and educational. But Zulu, I had been to the Zulu parade and I had gotten a coconut. The painted coconuts are valuable. And she said, well, does the Zulu look like the Zulus in South Africa? And I was like, I don't know. I don't think so. I think it just looked like random generic tribal, but now I'm curious to look at it. But he was involved with the social club. I can't remember what it was, but it seemed like a social club, but they also did some charity work. He was the only cop that took out his gun. He wasn't a cop. He was a volunteer. But if you can't, I don't think that it's fair to analyze these situations, continue to analyze these situations as individual isolated incidents. We have to look at them in the context of the totality of how many people are getting shot by cops. Volunteer, non-volunteer. If everybody on the scene don't take out their gun and shoot, that does not take away from the fact that systemically, those cops, that government is attacking us with their guns. They're shooting us and killing us with, basically no repercussions. I don't know if on Facebook, Sister African Esquire has it's called like the New African News Group or something. I follow her on Facebook. And there was a conversation going on. I can't remember on one of the threads, but somebody used the language. They said something like, well, we were just talking yesterday about I don't really know military tactics. I don't really understand what they're doing. And they said something like what the cops are doing is classic awe and destroy tactic. I can't remember what term they used, and I actually Googled it and threw it up on my Facebook page because I ended up getting into a conversation with somebody about it. But they awe and destroy tactics or something. But he said that's basically what you do when you lynch people. It's like you want the people, and when I Googled it, or from the conversation or whatever, it's like you want to come in and you want to come in hard, shock and awe. That's what it was. You want to come in and you want to come in hard. So I feel like that's like my strategy. If I ever have to fight, I want to try to hit them hard. So they just be like, oh my God, this little girl, and they don't know what to do. And so then I have a chance to get away, but that's what they want us. They want us to be like, oh my God, they're out here just killing us. And we're immobilized. We're scared. We're terrified. We're disturbed. We can't sleep. We're stressed out. We upset. We trying to explain why it happened here and why. And all of this is happening to immobilize us, to keep us in check, keep us in line, or, that's their shock and awe. Yep. I was like, I don't know nothing about them. And so sure enough, that night I learned a military term, not enough cops. So they asked for volunteers. I don't know why they have volunteers. On the little TV show I used to watch, they had the volunteer because it was a fun activity for them to go into the hood and shoot Negroes. They used that tactic during Black Wall Street. Yeah, and when I hit the Wikipedia, well, when I Googled it, a Wikipedia page came up. But it was like a long history of it. Like not just in this country, but like throughout history, there is I guess, a common military tactic, you know? And I guess like if you come into a village and you just start hacking people up, you know, that would shock and awe me. If you like, I'm standing next to somebody and you hack the baby out their stomach, I would be like, well, this person is a monster. I'm not going to mess with them. At the beginning of the Iraq War, and the U.S. bombed the hell out of Baghdad. And I think that might have been one of the examples that they had on the Wikipedia page. But I started reading The Art of War, and I never really finished it. And I've heard, like, for example, in, who was the one on the elephant? In ancient African times, I've heard that he was like a military tactician, and there's like an art and strategy to, you know, I'm not a fighter, I'm a lover, but you know, I've just never studied. I don't know Hannibal, like, but there's like strategy, there's technique, and you know, I hope that, you know, those of you who are warriors are out here, you know, studying, and you know. Because, you know, we can't be immobilized by the shock and awe. If it's something simple that we can look up on Wikipedia, then we need to analyze it, see it for what it is, and keep moving. You know, now some of us might be like shocked and awed, but the rest of us who are the warriors, we got to be out here, you know, fighting. You know, not me. I mean, we collectively, not. I don't know. Shoot, maybe I'm a warrior in my heart and I don't even know it. Maybe I have tiger. Is it tiger blood? I don't know. Glitch launches its YouTube for app creators. So it's supposed to be like, if you're into app creating, it's supposed to be like as simple as setting up a YouTube page. And then you do a couple things and boom, you got an app. You do something else and boom, you got another app. I'm not familiar with Glitch. Alligator pulled from Florida family's swimming pool. Now about maybe 7 or 8 months ago, do y'all remember, or I don't know if you will, I remember there were a whole bunch of stories of animals. And they were like, you know, in the zoo or the circus, we were talking about how we hate zoos and circuses and rodeos and stuff like that yesterday. But they were fighting back. And they were climbing over fences. Alligators were climbing over fences in Florida. We need a strong and solid return of Black Panthers having learned from mistakes of the past. Yes, we do. Whatever. I was talking to somebody around here. You know, I know people who, you know, spent time just in their communities. You were talking last night, I think it was, Brother Ayapo, about what are you doing in your community. I know people offline. I know people who would take children to the gun range and train them to use, you know, weapons. And I know someone who had a conversation with me about, you know, you don't have to like publicize it, but like just in your neighborhood association, you know who's who and who has what, and bond and connect with people and have strategies and have plans and have conversations. You know, and, you know, throughout our communities, when we get together, I think, you know, we need to talk, you know, and we need to, there's a book out there called We Will Fight Back. I think I haven't read it, but when I heard the man talk, I was like, now that's really interesting, because I think that there is this propaganda and this idea out there that we don't fight back, and that you can't fight City Hall, you know, there's no point in fighting back. But that, you know, this book, if I understood correctly, it sort of documents like during the civil rights era, when the people would come to harass the people who had come to register people to vote. If the people whose house they came to, we should definitely not talk about the specifics online. If they would come to the people, they would come to the people's house who, if some people's houses, if they were standing outside with the guns, then the cowards would leave. And I feel like most of them, you know, I feel like it's a mental thing. You know, we have to see things for what they are. University of Michigan launches outdoor lab for autonomous drones. Russia, Kemerovo fire. Aman Tuliev quits as governor. Now, this fire, I think it was about 60, 50, 60, 70, somewhere between 50 to 70 people who died. Remember, they used the language mall, and I think they said leisure mall. I wasn't clear if it was like a shopping mall or like the mall out in Washington, D.C., which was like grassy, but a lot of people made their transition, or like a miniature golf mall. I didn't really understand the concept, but a lot of people made their transition. We heard the other day that, people were upset with Putin about it, but the governor in that region has quit. We talked about that. British Vogue makes history with a diverse new cover. You know what they had, who they had on the cover? And this magazine has been around for more than 100 years. I think it was 102 years. They had a woman in a hijab with her head, not with her head, but her head covered. So they made history. White mass shooters are not lone wolves, and we must pay attention. So there's like this whole conversation out there. Oh, he was just so isolated. He's just this crazy, poor, mentally ill, isolated kid who we don't know why, he just went in and, went to the Emmanuel Church, which is who were we talking about the other day, who was one of the founders of the Emmanuel Church, and that church had a history, and when he went to that church, it was like the 200th year anniversary. They aren't. No, they aren't. It was like the 200th anniversary of one of our ancestors who was a warrior, he went to that church, not on act, it was like part of, we have to look at it in the collective context. Oh, you already know. I guess I didn't know. So now we know they're not lone wolves. Gaza-Israel violence, Netanyahu and Erdogan in war of words. So we've been talking about this just over the last 2 or 3 days. It's been like in the headlines that there's something going on between the Palestinians and the Israelis. It is the most extreme version of bullying coupled with domestic terrorism. Much of this is psychological. Only a significant show of strength will put these beasts in check. Yeah, whatever the military strategists need to do is what they need to do. That's what I think. But I do know also that, I do know also that when you're fighting with people, like you can it's sort of like a woman who's in a domestic violence situation. You can, cower as much as you want, but when you decide to leave, that's when you're in the most danger. So when you decide to be like, forget this BS. It's a wrap. I'm done. I'm over. I'm not buying into it anymore. It's done. Bye. That's when he get really, really mad and start acting like a headless chicken or a chickenless head, chicken head. A chicken head bodiless, and start, tripping out. And I bet churches still don't perform search procedures like the Nation of Islam has done for 85 plus years. Duh. I was saying yesterday that I went into, is it called Mosque Number 1? But anyway, I went to a mosque here in Detroit 5-10 years ago, and we had to go through the metal detector. And I was like, what in the world? I didn't realize that was a tradition. I did not know. So I don't know where I was going, but we'll go back to this. So there's been, we've been seeing in the news this whole thing, and I told you I still don't really understand, what's going on with, the whole Israeli Palestinian thing. But I do know that every time I see something in the news, especially here recently, it's like, oh, it's a battle. But the only ones that we hear in having losses are the Palestinians. But anyway, I didn't realize Mosque Number 1 is the first one. Yup, early 1930s here in Detroit. Detroit, y'all don't know. Detroit, it's some special juju in Detroit, I think. Oh, speaking of which, I gotta put on that thing, the Republic of New Africa website. So Erdogan has to do something with Turkey. So I really need to get a map and look at it, because I'm like, I know about Erdogan, Black Bottom Detroit it was called. There's all kinds of stuff that has come out of Detroit. All kinds of progressive. I remember Brother Yapo comparing our situation here in this country to domestic violence. He pointed out exactly what you said about departing being the most dangerous time, probably, is what you were saying. Yeah. Yep. And I remember I saw that share. It reminded me of something I had written. I think I sent you the link, something I had written. But I think it's a valuable metaphor. You know, I think it's a valuable metaphor. But there's a lot going on in Detroit. But in Erdogan, Turkey, the Middle East, I'm still confused. Yes, departing is a better word. Kuwait death sentences for murder of Filipina maid. So this is these people had employed this person. It sounds like she was enslaved, and then they it seems that they killed her and they put her in a freezer. She was missing for a year or two, and her body was found in a freezer, I think, after they had left the apartment. And so they've been sentenced to death for the murder of that woman. Yeah, I guess I feel the same way about that I feel about, people, I guess when you're alive and you sue somebody and you get the money, I guess you can enjoy the money. But, I kind of just wicked. It's some wicked people out here. And it's some beautiful, powerful, wonderful people out here too. But I kind of feel like when a woman is dead and in the freezer, I mean, her soul lives on, her spirit lives on, right? But I mean, I guess them being dead, them don't bring her back. Not that I think, I don't know. I just feel like I wish they just hadn't killed the woman. Stop being out here killing people and enslaving people. Ancient knowledge is inspiring African tech. Ooh, there was something in that article that I thought was really, really interesting. And now I can't remember what it was. That's coming off of African Insider. Oh, it's not called African Insider. It's called African Insider. Leaving them alive wouldn't bring her back either. That's how I look at it. No, it's not going to bring her back. But I just think I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I just know that you in it, and me wishing that they hadn't killed the woman and enslaved her ain't gonna change stit either. But I don't know. I don't like these kind of, I'm like, I don't like it. I won't, I don't know. I mean, I guess there are people out here being nice to people and kind to people and supporting people and encouraging people and people building and loving and, all of that. Y'all share them stories. Ancient knowledge is inspiring African tech. I just tried to hit that article and it was taking too long to load up. Yeah. Has the world ever been less difficult to navigate, you think? I don't know. Matt Barnes, remember I think we gave him a clap and a half. Matt Barnes announced a scholarship for #Stephon Clark's son. Now, last night I fell asleep on the live chat and I woke up and the people were dragging Stephon Clark or Stevante Clark. I couldn't figure out what was going on. And I saw a video saying that, he was a coon. I remember, I think you said something about support the cause, not the coon. I still can't figure out what happened because I haven't really researched it. But in the mainstream, everybody is just like business as usual with the protests. So I guess that he had a Asian partner and he said he couldn't do nothing. If you was darker than an Xbox, he couldn't do nothing with you. And then she out there saying, oh, my babies are getting so dark. I wish the man wasn't so chocolate. Yeah. The world's horrors can truly weigh heavily on the heart of a beautiful soul. But you know what? He hated black women. He hated himself. But so that's all I know. But it doesn't surprise me. Because I feel like I told y'all, I think it's a miracle. I think it's a wonder that any of us are halfway sane and have any, love, respect, connection with ourselves. I think that, yeah, I mean, that still doesn't make it okay. I don't think that they went up to him and said, Do you hate black? Because shoot, if they had known he hated black people, they probably would have let him live. So that ain't, I mean, it still ain't right to kill him. And then you never know. We were talking about this last night too. I feel like, shoot, I mean, you never know when someone, like, I feel like, I always think about like when you get a prospectus for an investment opportunity and they say, basically blah, 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 blah. Past performance is no guarantee of future success or whatever. And that's how it is with people. I feel like, in general, you do look at the prospectus because you think, well, if it's going up, it's going to be going up. And if you look at a person and you like, yeah, they this kind of person, you figure they this kind of person. But people are amazing. And we change. We don't always change, and you can't count on somebody to change, but you never know what's going to change somebody, what's going to impact somebody. His slant-eyed girlfriend even talks stuff about the sisters, and it seems they are a family of coons. Well, God bless them and pray for them, because I feel like, I just feel like it's amazing that everybody ain't, that the whole, when they saw him, they just saw another. They wouldn't have cared about his views or status or worldview. The cops, right? And we have to see him as us, because I feel like any of us who has any consciousness, for the most part, like some of us, like I grew up in a conscious home. I grew up with a certain consciousness. But most of us who have any type of consciousness or light, there was like, as a matter of fact, when I was growing up, my mother was like, oh, when I was in 5th grade, she cut my hair short. She's like, you would be so cute with a short fro. And like, I didn't go to an African-centered school here, and the children teased me, and they were like, oh my God, you're awful. You're skinny. You're black. You're nappy headed. And I was like, oh my God, my life is awful. It's terrible. I want a perm. And my mother was like, I'm not giving you no perm. You have beautiful hair. And I was like, no. And then I went to a friend who was a therapist, and I was like, Dr. Lynn Lewis, please help me, because I want a perm. And my mother won't let me have a perm because I just want to be happy. And Dr. Lynn Lewis sat down and she mediated, and I got a perm. And my mother could have been like, Lord, my child is a coon, she's self-hating. It's just over for her. But, by the time I got to college, that was like when I was 10 years later, some of the things that were a part of my upbringing came into no consciousness in my home. I despised Catholic school. But over time, some of us get light, and you never know, when someone is going to get light. And you never know what someone has said to you that maybe at the time you just blew off, or maybe you couldn't even hear it consciously, but subconsciously you heard it. Like truth, like recognize light. Truth recognize truth. Life recognize life. So I know, sister, your radical home sister, she was like, she's so sweet, but she's like, I just don't agree with you. Coons are awful. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't turn my back on coons and traitors. I do not believe in giving them a chance. They chose their side. That's their choice. But you said you was a coon. Should we turn our back on you? Are you a coon? Are you an undercover coon? I mean, that's just how I feel. Now, I don't feel that, you should be like, well, it's like in your personal life. Like, I feel like if somebody has shown you that they crazy, I don't think that I don't hate them. I'm not going to give them the keys to my house. I'm not going to trust them. But, I feel like if someone can demonstrate, that they, like when someone apologizes, I'm so dismayed at the backlash against Stephen Clark and the people bashing him on his death. They didn't kill him for his thoughts and beliefs, right? That's what we were talking about. I was a coon stuck in Christianity. Yeah. Like, I feel like it's like when someone apologizes, like on these reality shows, the women are good or the people are good. I'm sorry. And then they keep doing the same thing. No, I don't believe you're sorry. I'm sorry, ma'am. But sometimes I've had in my life people apologize, and based on their behavior, I believed them. I believed that they felt remorse about what had happened, and they grew and developed. There have been times when I have learned and grown and developed, and I hope I continue to be able to learn and grow and develop, and that people don't, I don't know. I don't think, yeah. So those are my cousins. I don't care. And I love them. I don't care. I may not have any real deep conversations with him, but I throw little things out there every once in a while. My cousin who had his foot cut off with sugar, I still, I talk to him. I'm not like, oh, well, he's just, he got the sugar diabetes and he won't hear nothing. On his, operating bed, he was asking for a candy bar. He's just lost forever. No, I still talk to him. I'm like, brother, you want some water? Candy? I'm not getting you candy. I mean, because you never know. So I don't know. I mean, I do know. I know how I feel, and I understand. But somebody prayed for you, y'all. You heard that song? I had a mother who could pray. I now believe all nations are different, and we have to support people like ourselves. Yeah. I think we definitely have to support people like ourselves, run with people like ourselves, connect with people like ourselves. But, I shouldn't say but, and, I feel like it's amazing that any of us have half a grain, of sense considering, just what we've experienced, generation upon generation upon generation. I think we're amazing and awesome. And we have just a brilliant light in us that could be ignited at any time. It could be your prayer. Now, I don't think you should waste time. But anyway, I'm finished. So Matt Barnes is giving the children scholarships. He was only 23 when he was brutally murdered. Right. How conscious was Malcolm X when he was 23? I mean, and it's true. There are people who, I have known some people who, you got disconnected. I have known some people who were, 80, 90 years old. And I'm like, this is a foolish elder to me. I mean, I don't know. Maybe and then there are some people who are really young. There is Russian ships are skulking around undersea cables that power the internet, causing the U.S. to worry that the Kremlin is finding a new way to. Yeah. Yeah, I truly believe that prayers work. And I believe that our visions, what we see and what we're willing to see and what we're willing to engage are really, really important. And I think that a lot more of it than we realize is a mind game. We were talking yesterday, all this is an illusion anyway. So just, see through to the God and the people, see through to the truth in the people. I mean, it's like when you're playing Monopoly, you play the game, but that's just a game. I don't know where. I think this moth was in here yesterday. I'm getting attacked by a moth. Russian ships are skulking around undersea cables that power the internet, causing the U.S. to worry that the Kremlin is finding a new way to spy. So we were talking the other day about Russia saying, hey, I've been over by your nuclear stuff and you didn't even know I was over there. Nah, 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 nah. And now they over by the internet cables out here just doing what they're doing. Now, that's another. If Sandra Bland was a black man hating swirler with 3 children by 3 different white men, I wouldn't think any different about what happened to her. Okay. I mean, and you're entitled to that, There is one major difference between people who move abroad and those who don't, according to a recent study. I want to move abroad. I like to move. I wouldn't think any different about what happened to her, but I would definitely think differently about her. But you know what? I feel like okay, let's talk about this. The fact that people are human beings. Do I need to say anything else? That the same people that we big up in today, the more you know about people, sometimes you're going to find some stuff out about those people that don't fit into your ideas about your ideals of who they are. You know what I mean? People are human. And some people are on the same hand, like Nina Simone. I love her music. I think she's brilliant and talented, and she can be human. Like your parents, we can love them. No, they're not. We can love them and accept, that we're flawed. We're all flawed. None of us deserves to be killed. Even, if we're not perfect, and none of us is perfect. None of us deserves to be terrorized. And we all just want to be loved and accepted and allowed to grow and develop. That's what we doing. Ain't none of us perfect. We can't be out here judging each other like that. People. Oh, okay. I don't know what these dogs are barking about. Well, the one major difference between people who move abroad and people who don't, the study says, is that the people who move abroad are happier. 2020 census question asking Black folks for their exact origin sparks concern. We talked about that earlier. Dogs see the world very differently from human beings. Here's how it works. It makes me think about perspective, like how everybody's perspective is very, very different. And it's all valid, it's just different. Pope Easter message urges in to Syria carnage. Y'all probably can't tell, but Bella is I'm on the first floor. Bella is up on the third floor. Because these dogs are down here barking. Now they stopped. Bitcoin millionaires are buying Lamborghinis. I would never say someone deserved to die just because of opinions or preferences. My support of them would be affected, but my dedication to the movement surrounding them. Okay, moving on, sis. Right, you said put the cause before the coon. Put the causery before the coonery. Bitcoin millionaires are buying Lamborghinis as a status symbol of crypto wealth. And I think that would be a good share. I hope you're going to do a share on that. Because I had some other things that I thought were connected to it, but I forgot them now, probably because it was the middle of the night. I feel you, Brother Yapo. I just feel that when it comes to our enemy murdering us in cold blood, we just need to put our differences to the side and continue to be picked off one by one. Bitcoin millionaires are buying Lamborghinis as a status symbol of crypto wealth, and the car maker says sales are rocketing. So I guess this whole cryptocurrency thing is just becoming a thing. In Lamborghinis, people call them Lambos. That's all I know. Oh, this is probably not relevant to anyone, but I had at least six servings of fruit yesterday. I had 5 dates. That's 1 serving. An apple. Roasted string beans with a whole bunch of other vegetables, 2 carrots, and 2 oranges. So I'm working on doing 5 to 10 vegetables and fruits every day. The 83-year-old lingerie model with a powerful message about aging. An 83-year-old lingerie model. That says something right there. I don't even know what her powerful message is. But I know a lot of times people are like, don't nobody want to see y'all. People seem so like hostile and aggressive toward especially women. Like if you're not like 23 with the perfect body, or an 18 or 17 or 14 with the perfect body, it seems like people are so upset and angry with you. Like I don't understand why. This black officer's 2-year-old rap song about police brutality has white cops feeling scared. So she just got on the force, I think. Her name is Atijah Samuel. She has a rap video. She's now being investigated by the NYPD for her music video in 2016, where she's declaring war against the white man on the beat. The Midtown North Officer Precinct posted the controversial video just 1 month before joining the police force. My consciousness would never allow me to buy a Lamborghini. Too much good be done for others. Right. I don't even understand. $2 million? But I did see this car. I can't remember what it was, but I saw it come across my newsfeed and it was really pretty. But I don't think I would buy it. When I looked at it, it was pretty. Today I had a pear, banana, peach, and for dinner I will have lentils with eggplant and salad. Yes, my Osha, yes. I love it. That sounds very wholesome and healthy and nourishing. And you're a model and an inspiration for us all to take care of ourselves and love ourselves, beginning with ourselves and then moving out to our families and our communities. How can we love each other if we're not loving ourselves and taking good care of ourselves? That's right. The music video is Samuel. It remains on Instagram. She tried to get rid of all of the evidence of it. She's wearing a black ski mask and a t-shirt, standing beside her fiance. She recites, "It's the war against the white man on the beat, with his handguns quick to pull up on a nigga if he dare to run." Look, I'm not gonna rap it because it's not coming out good. They say we gotta make America great again. We were never great. We were slaves and caged in. They see us like a gorilla in a jungle. So we gotta get it. A black ski mask and a black fitted. Got my crew and a couple of hitters. The 26-year-old's verse, in light of the upteen cases of police brutality with images of Eric Garner and Sean Bell flashing across the screen. One cop said, this is probably a white cop, but they don't say. Remember, we talk about this. They call her black. They don't call him white. One cop said, "I don't feel safe. How can I trust she will have my back?" Now, they didn't trust that she would have their back anyway, and they surely don't have her back. You just can't convince me of that. You just can't convince me of that. I just don't believe it. As a matter of fact, I didn't see it come across my newsfeed, but somebody told me that some off-duty cop was killed by one of his colleagues, and we've seen them pulling guns the white cops pulling guns on the black cops before. I don't know. Sometimes people say that when you see, and I know this happens to me in real life, not like, but if I see somebody out of context, I'd be like, who are you? Or I might have talked to somebody for 17 hours and I might have been looking at their earrings. And the next time I see them, they don't have the earrings. They'd be like, "Oh, Angela." I'd be like, "Huh?" And then they say something. I'd be like, "Oh, yeah, you were the one that had the little," I remember things, but I might not remember what they look like. So maybe they legitimately see the person out of uniform and they just think, "Oh, it's another Negro. Let me kill him." Or maybe they had a beef with that person and they're like, "Oh, this is my chance to say I thought it was another Negro. Let me kill him. Let me shoot him." So I don't even know how I'd feel safe being on a police officer. And it sounded like she had a little consciousness, but then it's also like you have a little consciousness. How's she going to support herself in this society? How's she going to eat? Does she have children? Where's she going to live? She probably ain't out here trying to buy Lamborghini. She probably out here trying to buy, a burger or eggplant. You know what I mean? Yappo doing two at once. Multitasking. Busted. Hey, is it Mama Sonia? Here's what happens when 3 white people committed voter fraud versus a black Texas woman. Now, we heard about the black Texas woman. She got 5 years. I didn't read the headline, but I assume that they probably kissed them on the cheeks and said, "Yay, congratulations, go vote more." I don't know. Mount Everest, Sherpa to attempt record 20-second climb. He's climbing Mount Everest. He's from that region of the world. 20-second time. Do you mountain climb? Anybody mountain climb? I'm not paying any attention to you, Yappa. Connecticut locals want Black history textbook to start with pre-slavery era. We have a history before that. How they gonna have a Black history textbook that start with the slavery era? Hi, fam. Was with Leo. I got kicked out by retro. Mercury retrograde. Sonia sees. Okay. So the Connecticut locals need to continue. It's good that they do have some consciousness. There is a history before the enslavement of Black folks in America. They need to continue to study and get education. And we need to reach out to them. And, those of us who know, which is not me, I just have a vague notion. But yeah, of course we have a history that starts before the enslavement of Africans in this country. The White House is now saying that Virginia Secretary David Shulkin actually resigned and wasn't fired, because I think that if he resigned, then man zero can just appoint whoever he wants. By him having been fired, which he was fired, that creates a situation where he can't appoint, called Black Fist, dealing with, he can't appoint. So he just out here lying as per his usual. Vimeo's 34-year-old CEO, and why she's not worried about YouTube or Netflix, and how she plans to bring in 100 million this year. I love somebody who has a vision and who has a she's not scared. I'm not scared of no YouTube. I'm not scared of these people. You can kill my body, but you can't kill my soul. You can't kill my people. You can't kill our spirit. I'm not scared. That's how I want to be. Zay Jones makes a statement after troubling naked bloody incident. I think I read this yesterday, but now I don't even remember what it was. I don't remember. Mali jihadist faces war crime charges at International Criminal Court. So this is like the third mention in the last couple months of this International Criminal International Criminal Court. First, we having conversations about your friend, your Ayapo Alexis, and now Sonya Seas is over here, flirting with you. I don't know what's going on. Faces war crimes charge at the International Criminal Court. So I guess I need to Google and try to understand what this International Criminal Court is. I didn't even know that such a thing existed until a few weeks ago. But apparently this is like a real thing, and people take people to court. So is this where the reparations case, like saying that black folks deserve reparation? Because there was some UN declaration that said, was that in the international, in the same International Criminal Court? I don't know. New video shows clearest account of Alton Sterling's killing, and everyone agrees it's disturbing. So what was it called? Shock and awe campaign? So we need to, what is the proper response to a shock and awe campaign? If you're like in military combat and somebody try to use the shock and awe campaign, there's like a response to it so that you don't get shocked and awed and immobilized, right? So what's the proper response? Because we can't be shocked and awed, can we? We can't, we can't, we got to keep moving. We got to keep doing we got to keep building. She never saw it coming. Teen attacked from behind by crazed white patient in Michigan emergency room. We talked about this yesterday. So maybe I've looped back to my stories. I think I've looped back. The only preparation is proper training before it starts. Well, brother, it already started 300 years ago. So you're just saying we doomed? We should just curl up in a corner and die? I know that's not what you're saying. So I don't know. But we already engaged in the thing. That's it for my notes on the news feed for today. I don't have any. The other has been a slow boil. A slow boil. I'm not sure I know what you're talking about. All I keep thinking about is you put the crab in the cold water and then you bring it up to boil. It's crab, lobster, whatever. Lynching in Mississippi. Was there a lynching in Mississippi, Miss Sonya Seas? Okay. So if there was, okay, yeah, I haven't heard about it. It'll probably be on my news feed now. So, again, rest in peace to that person and their family and community, and to all of us, that we can stay focused on building a couple of weeks ago. Okay, so that we can stay focused on building and developing ourselves and our communities so that we can stay strong, and just, continue to do what we need to do. Because there are some things that we can do and there are some things that we can't do. And our bodies are shock and awe and a bombardment of power. And that power is not real power. So we can't get distracted by that. And we can't buy into that. That's an illusion and that's some BS. It happens slowly and progressively. So there's kind of a desensitization. I didn't catch the rest of it. Okay, so what's good going on? The Real Housewives of Atlanta are coming on tonight. Are y'all gonna watch the Jesus Christ Superstar? And look, all I have to look forward to tonight is Jesus Christ Superstar and the Real Housewives of Atlanta. Your subs are going up. Yeah. You know, whoever told me to shut up, I know they were saying shut up and don't talk about that stuff on the internet because people are going to get you. I lived down south and I was like, you know, a little nervous because I was in the Bible Belt and people seemed so ignorant and hostile. And I guess, you know, maybe it's easy for me to be like, I don't care. I'm going to say what I need to say. I'm going to say the truth. I don't know. Maybe it's easy for me to say it because I'm sitting here in my little studio and my mama got my back. Oh, this is the poster I told y'all about yesterday. Remember I said that the Republic of New Africa was having a conference here in Detroit and my mother got something from a vendor. And I'm like, I've never seen that in any vendors here. What vendor did you get it from? I don't recognize that vendor. And she said we had some out-of-town people. So it's got Angela Yvonne Davis. Who knew? This is a little known fact. Did anybody on this line know that I was named after Angela Davis? My name is Angela Yvonne Maria Davis. My mother wanted to name me after Angela Davis, Angela Yvonne. And my daddy wanted to name me Maria. You know, that's like Mary Maria. That's a common name. And his last name is Riley. So I'm like half and half in my name. But that's, you know, now I've been married and stuff. So I have other names. But Angela Davis, political activist, President Nelson Mandela. He actually has, you know, he was a prisoner. Angela Davis was wanted. Joanne Deborah Chesimard. Oh, that's Assata Shakur. I was going to say that's Assata Shakur from the Black Liberation Army. Pastor Fred Shuttlesworth. He has an inmate number. Okay, stay true and dedicated, unlike Angela. Santa Cruz, Huey P. Newton, president of the Black Panther Party. Stokely Carmichael, American Revolution. You know, I've never read any of Angela Davis's work. I wanted to. I started trying to read it when I was a teenager, but I couldn't read it. And I don't know. Maybe I'll have to have a conversation with somebody to like, because I've just always grown up in love with Paul Robeson because my mother loved Paul Robeson and thought that he was like, you know, not only like a physical athlete in many different categories, but intellectually talented and gifted and an actor and a singer and like just a wonderful, powerful political activist man. So you can't tell me nothing about Paul Robeson and you can't tell me anything about Angela Davis. I don't know. Maybe I have to get more education. U.S. Representative John Lewis. I know somebody was dogging out John Lewis the other day. Black nationalist Malcolm X. Oh, look at this picture of him. He don't even look recognizable. To me, I wouldn't recognize him from that. Nobel Peace Prize recipient, civil rights activist, Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., who, you know, they say he was a hound. He was out here just New Era Detroit, still active there. A while ago, I remember hearing about that wonderful grassroots organization doing magnificent on-the-ground work. Right. You know, I had never heard of them until they came bust. I don't know if you remember this, but during the presidential campaign, some pastor here had Zero come. And the young people, they came in during the service. And I was like, yes, yes. But then I was at an event at the museum, and they were like talking. They were playing a video about like the history of their organization. And it was kind of like confusing and disturbing to me because it was almost like they did not place themselves in the context of struggle and work that's been going on ever since we've been in, you know, anybody tried to, you know, people have been resisting ever since anybody tried to like, what you doing? We've been fighting from the beginning. What's up? What's up? We finished. We just chatting. We've been fighting. As soon as somebody tried to put chains on us, we were fighting. I can't think of too many of us who somebody could just walk up to us and put chains on us. But anyway, it was like their video or whatever. It was like, it was a dark, sad place in the world. And then came New Era Detroit, and we started fighting for the people. And I was kind of like, and I think that's youth. And, sometimes, as younger people, we might not have context and we might not have perspective. And I know there were some older, more experienced organizers that I saw who were connected with them. And so I was like, well, that's probably a good match, when you're attracted to something and you can like guide and, and be of service and you feel comfortable, that's good. But that kind of like freaked me out a little bit because I guess, I don't know. I was kind of like, I guess the way that I was personally raised, it was always like in the context of a historical struggle. Like I come from a long line of people who have fought. I'm not the first. So, I never had that consciousness of like, I'm the first natural person. I'm the first, in my line. So it's hard for me to relate to, but they seem to still be here. And I think Brother Yapo, didn't you do a little piece on New Era Detroit or New Era Chicago in terms of like their economic mobs? I love that concept and I love the idea. I haven't heard much about it. I was watching some YouTube videos probably about 2 or 3 months ago about them. But like just on the ground and in the city, no, which doesn't mean anything because you can be very, everybody can be in their own little world. You know what I mean? Like I might sometimes be more tuned into what's going on in the YouTube streets than what's going on. If it ain't on my block, I may not know because I might just be so, but yeah, I appreciated their energy and their, I like somebody who has some attitude. And I feel like, if you don't think you the beginning and the end, then who will? I don't, but I feel like that's cool. I like somebody with some attitude. Eldridge Cleaver, Rosa Parks, and H. Rap Brown. So anyway, this is the poster I had said I was going to show y'all. And that's it. That's what I got for the notes on the news feed, notes on the news today. I appreciate that energy as well. Yeah, and sometimes you have to appreciate it from afar. You know what I mean? That's what I like. It's like it's a lot of people that I like, I admire, I respect, I enjoy them, but I might not want to be in their space, their personal space. I like to be like, hey, yes. But chemistry, there's chemistry. So, yeah, I like them. Excellent show, Angela. Much love, sis. So thank you. I appreciate it. Today is the best day ever and you are the greatest. So go out and enjoy your day and make it what it is. Be you. Be fabulous. Be fabulous. You. Peace. Be you. Be fabulous. Be fabulous.